In the heart of the African village, nestled between towering trees and flowing streams, lay the sacred forest. Legend had it that the forest was not merely a collection of trees but a living entity, a guardian of nature itself. Elders passed down the tale of how the forest was blessed by ancient spirits, and its flora and fauna held the key to the village's prosperity. In the gatherings beneath the baobab tree, where stories were woven into the fabric of the village's collective memory, elders spoke of the forbidden territories with a reverence that bordered on fear. The unwritten law, passed down through generations, dictated that if an animal fled into the depths of the forbidden territories during a hunt, it was to be left untouched. To pursue it meant crossing a line drawn not just on the earth but etched into the very fabric of their beliefs. You are watching the Tales of the Savanna. Subscribe and be part of the tribe. Now, let's get back to the story. For Chanda, this rule was an affront to his prowess as a hunter. He scoffed at the notion that certain grounds were holier than others. In his eyes, all lands were sacred, and the gods, if they existed, did not require sustenance. The forbidden territories, to him, were a tantalizing mystery, an uncharted hunting ground teeming with exotic prey that had eluded the arrows of mere mortals for generations. As days melted into months, Chanda's dissatisfaction evolved into a restless yearning that could no longer be contained. The forbidden territories called out to him like a siren's song, promising riches and conquest beyond his wildest dreams. The villagers' warnings fell on deaf ears, drowned out by Chanda's desire echoing through the corridors of his mind. Driven by a conviction that bordered on arrogance, Chanda decided that he would no longer abide by the limitations set upon his hunting grounds. One early morning, with a cloak of secrecy shrouding his intentions, Chanda donned his hunting attire, the beads clinking softly against the silence of the dawn. The whispers of the village, carried by the wind, warned of the consequences that awaited those who dared to defy the natural order. Yet, with each step toward the forbidden territories, Chanda's determination drowned out the echoes of caution. The allure of the unexplored, the promise of unmatched glory, and the intoxication of rebellion fueled his journey into the heart of the forbidden. Stopping at the edge of the forest, Chanda stood at the threshold of destiny, the line between the known and the unknown. His breath caught, a fleeting moment of hesitation, as he surveyed the untouched wilderness that awaited him. The village lay behind, oblivious to his audacious venture. Chanda closed his eyes, as if seeking strength from unseen forces, and then, with a deep breath, he took the first step into the forbidden territories. The ground beneath seemed to tremble, a heartbeat synchronizing with his own. His eyes opened to a surreal landscape, untouched by the footprints of any who dared to tread where he now stood. A nervous laugh escaped his lips, a release of tension as he reveled in the absence of immediate consequences. "I knew it," he shouted, his voice ringing through the stillness. They were all mere children's stories. With each passing moment, Chanda's confidence swelled. The thrill of defiance mingled with the intoxicating scent of unexplored foliage. The forbidden territories, once shrouded in mystery, now unfolded before him like a canvas awaiting the strokes of a daring artist. His ambition surged, carrying him deeper into the heart of the forbidden, a pioneer carving a path into the unknown. Unbeknownst to Chanda, the spirits of the earth stirred, observing the audacity that had breached the sanctity of their sacred realm. Hours slipped away like sand through his fingers, and still, there were no discernible animal tracks etched into the earth. Strangely absent were the usual sounds of wildlife. No chirping birds, no rustling underbrush. It was as if the forest itself had swallowed his trail, erasing any evidence of his passage. The trees, each one a sentinel of the sacred, stood in silent uniformity. Had he been walking in circles? Was he moving forward or backward through the enigmatic labyrinth that defied the logic of the known world? Chanda's water, once a source of refreshment, dwindled to mere drops. Panic clawed at the edges of his consciousness. Surely, at this pace, he should have encountered another settlement by now. The sun, unrelenting in its intensity, seemed to fixate its gaze solely on him, as if the elements themselves conspired to test the limits of his endurance. His breath grew labored, and each step became a struggle against the unseen forces that conspired to keep him ensnared. The air, thick with a surreal tension, clung to his skin like a second layer. Chanda's feet, once nimble and sure, began to swell beneath the weight of relentless exertion. With a sense of surrender, Chanda finally yielded to the oppressive reality. He lowered himself to the forest floor, beads of perspiration glistening on his brow. The trees, towering and indifferent, cast elongated shadows that seemed to stretch towards him like spectral fingers. The forest held its breath, as if awaiting his next move. Chanda, a mere pawn in the cosmic game that unfolded around him, sat in contemplation, the gravity of his situation sinking in. Chanda faced the harsh reality that he was trapped in the forbidden territories. No one knew where he was, as he had not told anyone about his adventure. He understood he had to do something. Kneeling down, he started clapping his hands, a sign of respect in his culture. Words of remorse, a guttural confession, spilled from his lips. He begged forgiveness from the ancient spirits that guarded the sacred realm, acknowledging the shadows of his own foolishness and the fragility of his humanity. Between broken sobs, he pleaded, "Forgive me, O guardian of the sacred forest, for my greed has blinded me. I am but a mere man, foolish and arrogant. Have mercy on me." As his words hung in the stifling air, a subtle shift in the atmosphere engulfed him. The oppressive sun seemed to relent, the shadows deepening as if the very forest listened to his desperate plea. Chanda, caught in the throes of remorse, felt an unseen force granting him forgiveness. In the midst of his vulnerability, a strange calm settled upon him, a stark contrast to the turmoil that had defined his ill-fated venture. To his astonishment, as he emerged from the forbidden territories, he found himself standing at the very edge of the village he had left behind. The villagers were astounded by Chanda's arrival, and a celebration erupted in the village. Although, to Chanda, he had been away for less than a day, in reality, he had been absent for months. Time unfolded in peculiar ways within the spiritual realm. Chanda had walked the line between shadows and redemption, emerging on the other side with a newfound understanding of the delicate dance between man and the enigmatic forces that govern the natural world. Inspired by his experiences, Chanda became an advocate for respecting nature and the natural order, further enhancing the jubilant atmosphere in the village. Interesting fact. In some African sacred grounds, hunters or visitors navigating these grounds might find themselves entangled in a whimsical adventure if they engage in actions deemed disrespectful by the guardian spirits. Beyond spitting on the hallowed earth, other frowned-upon acts include breaking branches without purpose, making loud and disruptive noises, or even carelessly discarding items. These seemingly trivial transgressions can trigger the mischievous spirits to play tricks on the person's senses, leading them in confusing loops within the sacred forest. Next time you find yourself passing through such a forest, dear listener, beware. Dear viewer, have you or someone you know ever found yourselves lost and disoriented? We invite you to share your experiences in the comments below. To discover more about the Guardian of the Forest, watch our captivating story, The Guardian of the Forest. Thank you for watching our story, The Greedy Hunter, and we hope you enjoyed it. What lessons did you draw from this story? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and be part of the tribe. Thank you for watching The Tales of the Savanna. We will see you next time, in the Savanna.